pjnet.tv. It is Tuesday evening, 9 p.m. on the East Coast. We are anxious, eager to get started. Let's make sure we're ready. We are recording. We are streaming to 9 social media destinations. We have a chat room waiting for our guest, and we have a guest standing by. So we'll switch to Studio 8 in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Well, good evening and welcome to pjnet.tv. I'm Coach Prasick, and it is my pleasure, joy, privilege, and honor to do this on Monday through Thursday nights. And tonight we have a guest who's just been waiting literally for 2 weeks, was scheduled 2 weeks ago. We'll talk more about why she couldn't appear then in a moment. Then we rescheduled for last week, and then something happened. But this week it's really going to happen. Stephanie Pavlantos has been with us before. She is standing by. After 2 false alarms, we're finally doing it. I can't believe it. I feel so bad, Stephanie, that you got all fixed up and ready and got your hair done, and you were just a doll, and I'm like, sorry, this isn't working. But it's working now. Stephanie, today I didn't get to play it, but I did notice a peculiar post on Facebook, the sound of running water.
Yes, it was a good sound today. I have not been able to get out of the house much this month and a half, but today I got a chance to take a hike to some beautiful Ohio waterfalls, and I was able to sit for about a half hour just next to the river, and I just put my phone up to record about a minute of just this beautiful running water, and everything was so quiet, and all you could hear was the running water of the river, and it was very beautiful, very peaceful, and exactly what I needed today.
How long were you out?
We were out for we started at 10 and I got home around 2, so we were out for about 4 hours.
Oh gosh. And you were walking?
Yeah. Not the whole time. We did drive. We saw 2 different waterfalls, so we drove from one and did some hiking to get to that one, and then we drove to another one and did hiking to get to that one. We probably hiked 5 miles altogether today, 7 miles altogether today. So it was a long hike.
You said we. Who is we?
A friend of mine, Brita. She's in my Word Weavers group, and she's become a good friend.
Okay.
And we like to hike together. So.
Well, Stephanie, I don't know about you, but if I went out at 10 o'clock in the afternoon and got back at 10 in the morning and got back at 2 in the afternoon, I would be the same color as this shirt that I am wearing. Now, you look like kind of a fair skin. How did you manage not to get toasted?
There's a lot of woods. I actually didn't wear any sunscreen, but we're in the woods most of the time, and it's just shady and cool and beautiful today. So that's where we're most of the time, even the waterfalls, they're just down deep in these gorges. And so we just have like all this shade and everything walking towards it, and even down in the river. I mean, the whole time we sat in the shade on these big, huge rocks next to the river. So it's just been, especially with the whole COVID thing, it's been a place where we find many, many people nowadays going into the rivers. And Chagrin Falls is north of me, and it's got a couple beautiful falls, and one of them is just full of people when you go.
Well, good. So, maybe people are discovering the creation. I mean,
yes, it's beautiful.
Maybe they'll figure out that's nice. I ought to do that without the pandemic, and that would be great.
Right.
Right. So what possessed you to do this? Did you need some exercise or what?
That's always a good thing, but I needed peace and quiet. I needed some time alone with the Lord and with my, just to be able to talk. But I've had a sick daughter for about
2 weeks.
A month.
Well, 2 weeks I know, because 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, so maybe 3 weeks. Yeah. So it started a week before I was to be on the show, the first in August. So, but yeah, so she poor thing. I mean, she's been working some hard hours and she started getting sick. We saw the doctor over Zoom on a Wednesday, and they wanted her tested for the coronavirus. And I asked them basically, what would they do? And they said nothing. And so then she kept getting worse. And finally, I had to take her to the ER on the Sunday. And they tested her for the coronavirus. And then they treated her as if she had a strep throat without testing her. But then what happened is she got worse. And so on the following Wednesday, we took her back to the ER. And that was the night I was to be on the show, and found out she has mono. She is, negative for coronavirus, but she had a very, very bad case of mono. Her throat was swollen, her lymph nodes. We actually had doctors coming in just to look at her lymph nodes and how big they were. And we had one intern come in. He's like, "Oh, I've never seen lymph nodes so big." And so she was kind of like the center.
Is that supposed to make you feel better? I mean, is that what?
It didn't make me feel better. I wanted to laugh, but I wanted to scream because I'm like, yeah, they've been this way and no one noticed. But so finally they started treating her and putting her on, giving her some steroids, things to relieve her, all the swelling and plus all the pain. But because the first time we went to the ER, they had put her on amoxicillin. Last Monday, she broke out in a terrible rash due to the amoxicillin. When you give someone amoxicillin when they have mono, the body reacts, and hers was a bad reaction. So for 1 week, we have been dealing with this terrible, terrible rash. And yesterday was about the limit. She was in such pain, and her nerves were really responding and almost overreacting. And I just started praying. I'm like, and not that we haven't been praying all during this illness, but we see, milestones, like she starts feeling better and then something else happens. And so we start praying about this. So last night, as I'm just rubbing her back and praying over her, I'm like, Lord, what are we missing? Because there's got to be something we're missing. And I had even asked the pharmacist and at the drugstore and stuff, what else can I do? Because, basically for a rash, it's stuff like, anti-itch cream and Benadryl. Well, nothing was working.
Morphine, that always works.
Yeah, she needed something like that. She needed to be knocked out, but we just didn't have that capability. So the Lord just spoke to me and just said, it's the B12. She needs B12. And I realized, because of what I realize or understand about vitamins, is B12 helps the nerves, and especially in your legs and feet. It's one place that the nerves can become very, very sensitive. And that's exactly where all her pain was. So once I gave her the B12 and then got her into bed and kind of got her comfortable, that was it. I didn't hear from her all night long. And this morning I actually went in to see if she was okay. And she's like, I'm good. I'm just sleeping because I can sleep. And here she was just 100% better, and all day 100% better. And I'm like, oh, thank you, Jesus. Now I'm going to go hike. I'm going to go do something for me. So
yeah,
that's what I did. I left.
You did it because you could,
I did. I could.
Last night, Stephanie, we had a mutual friend of yours, Phyllis, was on here last night, and I don't do Twitter now that Twitter has quit me. Really, I didn't really quit Twitter, but Healthy Faith is not just a little thing. It's kind of a thing now, and of course, Phyllis her husband is probably the founder, I guess, of. So tell us about Healthy Faith.
Well, I started just probably a month ago, so I was pretty new to it. But Healthy Faith is started by David Lawrence, and what he does is it's Sunday or Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and Thursday. I want to say those 4 days. And so Healthy Faith is the basically the forum that we use in Twitter, hashtag Healthy Faith. And every group each day has a different topic. So our group were started with the I ams in John. So we were discussing it and the leader will make up 9 or 10 questions, and we have them ready, and we kind of rapid fire put them on every 5 minutes, starting at 9 o'clock, for me at least, for the Thursday night, and we throw out these questions under the Healthy Faith Twitter topic, and hashtag, thank you, and it was it's really cool because people know it's coming now, and so they all start getting on and talking about, we start preparing them about that morning, like, here's the topic for today, so everybody knows what's coming, and then we start letting them know, half hour, 20 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever before, and then we just dive in with the questions, and each question, it's like Q1, Q2, but then they answer sometimes, like A1, so you can kind of keep track, and you keep kind of just trying to pull them out. It's not like a Bible study where I'm telling them, go look at John, 15:1 and read this and tell me, answer this question. They're very just open-ended questions about certain scriptures or certain topics. And now we just started the Beatitudes. So that's what our Thursday nights are going to be on now. And it's been exciting. It's been really cool. And the people who are on there really neat, the other leaders. It's just been a really cool community to get to know a lot of those people, even though it's on Twitter.
Well, you're referring to things like groups and people. So give me some context. How many groups are there? How many are in a group? And what constitutes a group? I mean,
Well, yeah. There could be lots of different numbers. There's not, I think one night they had something like 30 or 40 people on answering in one particular group. So the group is anybody who logs on with the Healthy Faith hashtag. So that's the requirement to keep track of you and to keep track of your answers and the questions. And so you have someone who retweets everything. That's a hard word for me to say, retweets everything. And so as we go and start answering, you can keep track of them under that hashtag. But yeah, so sometimes you have 10 people. I don't know. I mean, it's like rapid fire for me. It's just like that hour goes by so quickly because you're rereading and retweeting, and people have some great answers and some great thoughts and even great experiences to share with each other. And you learn about people that way, Mm-hmm. So sometimes I'll just really totally just ask, like, how has this beatitude affected your life? Or which one do you strive to really do and be? And which one fits you? And which one might you struggle with the most? And so leaving it open-ended that way, you really start hearing people's hearts, and you start hearing maybe even problems that they've dealt with and how the Lord has changed them. Somebody who's like, I used to be, I like to argue. Now being a peacemaker is something that I strive to do because I was an argumentative person, Well,
that's so being a peacemaker. That's always been one that's had some ambiguity in my mind, peacemaker, because there's two extremes here. You can be a peacemaker by capitulating. Okay?
Yes.
You can also be a peacemaker by annihilating.
Right.
So right. I don't think Jesus meant either of those two extremes. No. But it does lend itself to some conversation. So before we leave the healthy faith topic, from time to time, some of our own here, Rachel in particular, but others,
right.
Doug has said, oh man, I can't make it tonight on PJNet or whatever.
Yes.
I'm leading They say I'm leading help.
Right.
So do they kind of have some? Do they kind of pass the baton around from week to week or up day to day?
Yes and no. So some people, it depends on what you want. I signed up for twice a month. So um, David Lawrence and I kind of do Thursdays. I mean, he probably does many different days he's on, but he and I kind of switch Thursdays. So he'll do two, I'll do two, or every other. Some people just do one a month. So, and by leading, we're the ones who kind of put the questions out there.
Okay.
So yeah, the first time I did it, David gave me a lot of questions to choose from and kind of got me started. And then by the 2 weeks later, I was doing my own questions, and everybody else seems to. I mean, Rachel always participates. I see her participate with other people, not other groups, not just the one she's leading. And I see Doug participate in just other things. I don't get to participate in as many as I would like because it seems like every night there's something.
Well, there is. I mean, tonight you're on pjnet.tv,
Yes.
but then you've got Healthy Faith, and then you've also got Word Weavers. What do you do there? What's that?
I'm the president of my group in Northeast Ohio. So that keeps me busy.
Oh, keeps you busy doing what?
Well, Word Weavers is a writing group, and we're a critique group, and it's Word Weavers International. So we're a chapter, and I started probably 3 years ago, and the woman who was doing it, Lisa Kibler, was moving. So I took over as president for her. So as president, we lead the critiques. We decide what day and time and everything, and all the everything that goes with that leadership. And but our group is about right now 6 or 7 people, and you really want 5, and so we have like 5 around. So once we get bigger, we'll have like different tables, and so we kind of meet in a group of 5 at a time in tables. Like we can all meet at the same time, if that makes sense. Sorry, but we kind of put 5 people around each table, and we critique each other's writing. So we bring in about no more than 1,500 words on a project that we're working on, and we it's like the right person on your right reads your project you're working on, and the person on your left leads the critiquing, and that's it's called the sandwich method. And so it's always done with encouragement first, and we don't tear into people like this is a piece of crap, you shouldn't even be putting this out here. No, I mean we do our best to encourage and also critique. So we want to build each other up, and we want to also help each other grow. And it did wonders for me. I mean, the way that I started, I never considered myself a writer, and never ever considered myself a writer. I laughed at God when I felt like he was telling me to start writing, because I'm a science person. And but Word Weavers did wonders to teach me about the mechanics of writing, but also how to write for people to enjoy it, and how to write just in different styles and to tell stories and all those things. It's been really, really cool, and it's been a godsend for me. So.
Well, I hear you talking about sitting at tables. So how has the pandemic impacted this sitting at tables thingy?
Yeah, now we're doing Zoom a lot. There are some people in the group that aren't quite ready to meet in face-to-face. So right now we just say, okay, who wants to start? Because of course on Zoom, it's like everybody switches places, and so it's hard to go, you're on my right, you're on my left. So So Zoom has been very helpful with that, and even like we're going to switch into Facebook Messenger has chat rooms now, so we're going to switch to that because it's free. So
It might work. So,
yeah.
do you have a day job?
Besides being a mother, and
Well, yeah, you took too long to answer
no,
it, so we know you don't.
no,
Okay.
no,
Okay, because I was wondering when you have time for all of this, because when it comes to ministry, when you're, the demands of ministry
yeah,
sometimes can become
yes.
such a burden that it can impact your attitude toward the kingdom, and it wears you down. Do you ever deal with that?
Definitely, definitely, definitely. I think that it's easy to pour out into people. Sometimes, at least it's easy for me. I can tell you that I love to teach. I love to pour into people. But if I'm not letting God pour into me, then I run dry and I start, it just doesn't go well. And I realize that about myself. I mean, in different relationships, you wear a lot of hats depending on who you're around. And even in word weavers, wearing the hat of trying to be the president, but also keep track of people's schedules and what they're writing and how best to encourage them when they're writing. But then being on a prayer team when my church was meeting, now I lead a home church on Sundays, and or my husband and I, of course. But it's wearing a lot of hats and then trying to keep track of everything becomes exhausting, really exhausting at times. So I have to be in the Word. I have to be on my knees, letting the Lord fill me. Because I remember JD wrote something about that a few weeks ago, and it rang really true in me. It's like letting the Lord fill you up when you're empty, because you can't keep pouring into people who need you if you're not getting refilled by the Lord.
You got to have something to give. Well, I don't know where you find the time. Have you ever said no to anything?
Yes, I have. And actually, the Healthy Faith, David Lawrence sent out a thing about starting a devotional. And boy, it was like, oh, that would be fun. I would really like it. And then it's like, no, you have no time to do something else. So you just have to let this one go by.
Well, and Michelle has a lot to say about that kind of thing. And by doing that, God has somebody that will be blessed, okay? And if we just say yes to everything, we might be snuffing out an opportunity for a younger believer, to take their next step to stretch and learn and be prepared for leadership. Well, gosh, Stephanie, I'm glad everything went without a hitch tonight. It's been a journey, but we did it. And I would say we'll see you in about a month, but it's actually going to be about 2 weeks. But wish your daughter well for us. It sounds like you're on the downhill slope now. So take a little deep breath, relax, and go for hikes. And hopefully soon your daughter will be able to join you and take some more videos of running water and the wonderful things out there that God gives us.
I will. Thank you.
All right. See you.
Okay. Thank you, Mark.
Stephanie Pavlantos here on pjnet.tv. Gosh, that was fun. And there are so many interesting people serving God's kingdom, and they have fun doing it. And are you serving in God's kingdom? Are you having fun serving in God's kingdom? Because if you're not, you should probably have a checkup from the neck up. Okay, listen, Del Didway's coming our way in about a few minutes. Very few. I've got to go. He'll be here in just a few. Stay with us here on pjnet.tv, and we'll be back at the bottom of the hour with Del Didway. On my way out, I'm going to ask you a couple things. What is the boldest thing you've ever done for Jesus Christ? And by the way, when was that? Folks, the challenge to serve in the kingdom is to never be satisfied with either answer.